This is the Hello Chambers. I am Tijesu Adiri.
Nigeria's elections may even become more dynamic as a fresh legislation now allows an independent candidate to participate in any election without necessarily belonging to a political party. The chairman of the Senate Ad hoc Committee on the Constitution Review and Deputy President of the Senate, Ovie Omoagege, in a motion, informed the Senate that the two alteration bills have been passed by the required number of states to make them form part of the Constitution. The first alteration, Bill 58, seeks to provide for independent candidacy in the presidential, governorship, national and state houses of assembly and local government council elections.
The Senate recalled that on Tuesday, the 2nd day of May 2023, the clerk to the National Assembly was directed to transmit Constitution Alteration Bill number 20, which is the uniform retirement age for judicial officers, after it met the requirement of Section 9, Section 2 of the Constitution to Mr. President for his assent.
Also, Alteration Bill Order 46, seeking to admit presiding officers of the National Assembly as members of the National Security Council, got the approval of the Senate and now awaits President Muhammadu Buhari's assent in line with the provisions of the Authentication Act.
I want to commend the Committee on Constitution Review, particularly the chairman and the man who wanted to usurp my presiding powers, and members of the committee for working so hard in the first instance, and then the State House of Assembly for agreeing with us. With this, I will put the question, those in favor of this prayer say aye, those against say nay, the ayes have it.
After considering the motion, the Senate directed the clerk to the National Assembly to transmit Constitution Alteration Bill number 58 and Alteration Bill number 46 to President Muhammadu Buhari for his assent.
The coast is getting clearer for Tajudeen Abass and Benjamin Kalu to clinch the coveted seats of Mr. Speaker and Deputy Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives. The Joint Tax Forum, an assembly of members-elect across party lines, meets to further strategize on delivering the party's choice as the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly draws near. Solidarity comes from the President of the Senate hopeful, Godswill Akpabio.
My late mother told me that I should be aware of the 3 G's. The first G is God Almighty. The second G is what? The God. And the third one is what? The government. May you conduct your affairs mindful of the admonition of my late mother by respecting the 3 G's.
It's the first time Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila will be talking publicly on his decision to pitch tents with Tajudeen Abass. He describes Tajudeen Abass as a man with tremendous capacity to lead the parliament. Femi Gbajabiamila says his preference for the party's choice doesn't translate to hatred for other aspirants.
One of the reasons why Northwest wanted vice president. The president-elect decided to go to the Northeast. So the least he could do was to compensate them with the speakership in terms of what they bring to the table. It's as simple as that.
Before you, Right Honorable Al-Hassan Ado Dogwa.
The icing on the cake at the meeting comes from one of the 7 aggrieved aspirants for the speakership seat. House Leader Al-Hassan Ado Dogwa leads Jigawa lawmaker Maki Elema and Kwara-born legislator Rahim Olaoyi to join the campaign train of Tajudeen Abass.
I am here to put on the record that not just from today, that right from day one, when the NWC, the National Working Committee of my party, put it on the table, that they have come up with a zoning arrangement. As from that date and day, I therefore called my bid to contest for the speakership of the 10th House of Representatives off.
Tajudeen Abass and Benjamin Kalu appreciate support received thus far. Their pledge is that they will not let their colleagues down.
We put our interest
what we are supposed to take home by the end of that particular year, we were given only 30% of what was put in the budget. Funding was just 30%.
Let's work together as Parliament to give to Nigeria what is the best. It is not about any party. So today, I join my colleagues to assure you that this is your home, a home where we will bet leaders.
Halazana Dodogwa's backing out of the race may have created a crack in the rank of the 7 aspirants known as G7. More aspirants are expected to toe the party's line in days ahead as members-elect count down to the proclamation and inauguration of the 10th National Assembly.
Thank you for staying with us on the Hello Chambers. And my guest today is an honorable member in the House of Representatives. His name is Honorable Solomon Bulus Maren, representing Mangu Bokos, Federal Constituency of Plateau State. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
We sympathize with you for what is actually going on in your constituency at the moment, but forgive me for asking, how did it come to this? What really happened?
Well, I'm sure you're also not unaware of the fact that Plateau as a whole has been going through attacks for the past, since 2001 till today. Several communities have been ravaged, many people have been killed, so many communities have also been taken over, and these killings goes on unprovoked, and they are happening almost on a daily basis. As we speak today, even while we're trying to calm down what is happening in Mangu, even last night, there was an attack in Darfur town where a woman was killed and a man is right now taking medication, having sustained gunshots injuries on himself. So this is the situation we have been in over the years, and we have been crying out for help locally and internationally so that help comes to Plateau State. We want peace. We are peaceful people, and we want peace in Plateau State. We want peace across Nigeria. But when you constantly have unprovoked attacks, it gives you sleepless nights, because if you know why an attack is carried out, you will confront the issue and ensure that the settlement, so that no one is attacked.
So are you suggesting that this may be a local issue between the locals, or it's just a foreign attack?
There is no any local issue, because I don't see any local community having problem with the other community. We are seeing that most of these attacks are, sponsored, and people come in outside Plateau to cause havoc.
When you say sponsored, who are you referring to? Is this the work of maybe some politicians for selfish gains, or by who?
You can't know exactly whether politicians or religious bigots or whatever, ethnic bigots and the rest of them. Could be any of them. But these are terrorists, these are people who I refer to basically as terrorists, who have been terrorizing Plateau State and other parts of central Nigeria for a very long time. Just like when you hear when it happens in Benue, you hear when it happens in Nasarawa and some part of southern Kaduna. You can't adduce any reason to why some of these attacks are taking place. But the attacks are consistent. Once upon a time, we had the governor saying that some attackers came to do revenge of what happened during the 2011 elections, and that people were killed, and because of that they came and he settled them and they went back. But those attacks never stopped. And they were consistent, even within that period he was referring to. The attacks in southern Kaduna were consistent. So these are the same kind of scenario attacks that are happening across the region.
Okay, but Plateau State seems to is actually one of the major states in the North Central. But a lot of people still argue that there are some areas that are, not being manned by proper security operatives. Why do you think that is?
Well, the whole Nigeria, not just Plateau State, we have so many ungoverned spaces. So many ungoverned spaces. I remember very well when I was growing up in the village, in those days. I used to see the Dandoka these local police that wear short knickers. They come, they treks up to our house in the village to ask us where our father has gone to, and we tell them sometimes, our father has gone to this place, our mother has gone to this place. But shortly after, you don't see any form of security in the communities. The Landoka was there, which were the local police with short knicker. The forest guards were also there. They come every day and they work 5 days a week, like we go to office every day. And they also have their own staff. So they comb the forest, they comb the bushes, they comb the mountains. And so there was no hideout anywhere for any criminal. But today, several ungoverned spaces, several. In my local government, I can tell you, is one of the largest local governments where I share border with my constituency. So I have border with Bauchi State, I have border with Nasarawa State, I have border with Kaduna State. One constituency. You can imagine the length and breadth of that constituency. And I can tell you the number of police stations that we have in that constituency. They are so few that they cannot manage a third of the communities in that area. And so these are the challenges that we have across the country. And that is why they will tell you that terrorists have taken over Birnin-Gwari Road. Birnin-Gwari is not too far from Kaduna. It's a short forest that ordinarily you know that the police will be there, the forest guards will also be there, and that nobody can enter that forest that will not be noticed. But yet, in today's Nigeria, you find out that people take over so many of our forests and our hinterlands.
So would you
because
say
of
that
huge ungoverned spaces?
Would you say that this is a case of the security agencies being overwhelmed, or they are just not performing at all?
At the point, yes, you will say, you can't say they are not just performing. If a few others are working, you cannot condemn the whole. I know that there are a few officers who have given themselves and their lives in order to bring peace to this country. And so we must always commend them. And unfortunately, because also lack of the few number of officers that we have, and sometimes corruption that has also crept into our systems, you find out that even when the DSS gather information, it is very hard for the implementer of such information to go out there to implement. Hitherto in this period in our lives, we never had where DSS will raid a place or DSS will make arrests. They were only information gathering organ of government. And once they gather, they give the police to process. But when such processes are not going on, because probably they are actually overwhelmed because of their numbers, they are actually also overwhelmed because of the arms that are available to them to work with. And so you find out that there are so many of those informations that they cannot process.
Plateau State has been one of the states that has been in the eye of the storm in terms of, insecurity, and, has had its fair share of, several bandit attacks and all of that. And like you said, some of these are actually sponsored, and also some people have also alleged that maybe some people may have interest, which may even involve some of the security personnel of some of these security agencies, probably because of selfish gains. Do you agree with this? Do you think this might be the case?
Well, you can't rule out all this, because till today, after fighting insecurity in Plateau at least for 22 years now, till today we cannot find solution to it. It shows that there must be a huge compromise somewhere. And so you cannot dispel the fact that there are compromises, and there are also some level of sponsorship. Otherwise, these same criminals would have gone dry by now, and the place will have peace. 22 years fighting nobody. You can imagine fighting nobody. You can't see the person that is fighting you. Even when you see him, you only see him in the battlefield, and he overpowers your security until they withdraw. So the next thing you hear is that they say even when you shoot them, the gun is not entering them. So, but the gun will enter the soldier. So the soldier has to protect himself first.
What kind of intervention has the state government, tried to, do to mitigate this kind of challenge? And is he reaching out to the federal government for help? What exactly is going on on the government side?
Well, you see, when you talk of state government, to an extent, I don't usually blame state governments, because the governors are mere figure chief security officers of those states. He commands nobody. And so when he tells the police, we have crisis in so-so area, kindly intervene immediately. The next thing is that the commissioner of police is calling his area commander, or he's calling his the area inspector of police also, or he's calling the IG of police to say, we have this scenario here. And the IG of police has so many issues that comes to him that even the commissioner of police cannot even get him directly, immediately, to be able to take an order. And sometimes that process, the information goes through a process before it gets him, before he takes an order. And that is why some of us have been clamoring for state police. Because if you have a state police where the commander is the commissioner in the state himself, so the commander will be able to take decisive actions immediately when the governor gives him, gives him a directive on what to do. But the chain of information before it gets to where the order comes from has been a very serious problem. And so we continuously call on the creation of state police. I hope the president-elect, who was also a proponent of the state police, having found himself in that authority of power now, will do the needful, because we actually need a secured Nigeria where progress can be guaranteed. Not where people are working, have toiled all their lives to be able to put up whatever they have been able to put up, and then someone comes overnight and destroy all their buildings, destroy all their houses, destroy all their food banks, destroy all that they have labored for in life. And now they have been rendered to the bare ground. Their children can no longer go to school. They are now not looking for what to solve one or two problems. They are looking for now what they can keep themselves alive. That is the first thing. So that is why I said the issue lies in the federal government, because the president is the only commander-in-chief. He is the only one who can command whatever he wants done in this country, and it will be done. And that is what we have not seen over the years, because if we have seen that happen over the years, by now we should have peace.
All right, we'll take a short breather now. Don't go anywhere. There's more after this break. Stay with us.
The National Assembly is a busy place. As the bastion of democracy, it is a place where bills are presented, motions debated, laws made, and the yearnings of the people are laid bare. Come with us as we take you through the workings of the National Assembly. We take you through plenary, committee meetings, and probes, all to ensure smooth working of the democratic process.
Glad to have you back. If you're just joining us, we have been speaking with Honorable Bulus Solomon, and we have been speaking about the various attacks in Plateau State, Mangu constituency to be precise. And now let's switch to politics. Now there's a lot of lobbying going on, and the noise about the 10th National Assembly and who will lead the 10th National Assembly. But in your opinion, how do you think this race should go? Who do you think should wield the seat?
Well, I don't think I have answer to that, because I'm not a member of the 10th Assembly.
No, but you can also offer your own suggestion as being a member.
That the race is for the swift at the moment, and all the contenders are all qualified to become speakers, and all we look forward is that he who works will get through. And I know that over the years, that is how it has been. So the more the campaign, the more the support will come to you. So as they go out and sell their agendas to members of the 10th Assembly, those are the things that will actually determine who will become speaker. But we had been clamoring in the North Central that something should be allocated to the North Central, even though we are not members of the majority party, but since we also have members in the majority party from the North Central, we had clamored that something should come to North Central also, so that we will also belong to the next government.
We understand that some of your colleagues have already indicated interest in vying for the seat of speakership. So are we going to see any support coming from?
It can be any position. We are not saying they must give us speaker. They can give us any position. At least there are 4 positions in the National Assembly, from the House and the Senate. So anyone that you allocate to us, we take. We are not particular about any position, but we need one position at least in the North Central. This will help us galvanize the unity of this country, and it will also help us as a parliament that implement and also safeguard the laws of this country. And we know that the federal character, it is a constitutional order, not a law by any assembly. It is a constitutional order. So we hope that they will look at the federal character to ensure that people are carried along, every part of this country is carried along, so that we can have a peaceful country. We are happy to an extent that the incoming, the president-elect has been talking about unifying the country, which is very excellent. Without unity, we cannot move as a people. We cannot progress as a country. And so that is very important. But I think the crafters of our constitution are also very mindful of the fact that equity is also part of giving justice to the people, and that will also encourage loyalty to the country as a whole. So we look forward to that. But I think the rest at the moment is for the swift. He who moves fast will surely get there. So wish all of them luck.
Well, a lot of people have queried the interference of the party in the decision-making of who leads the 10th National Assembly. A lot of people have already said lawmakers should be allowed to make their own choice by themselves. So in your own opinion, even as a member of the 9th National Assembly, do you think it's right for the party to interfere in this decision-making?
Well, even though it may not sound morally right for them to have, but you know that all the people who emerge from these elections were sponsored by a political party. And that political party will not just sit back and watch them, do things on their own, in their own way without having some level of control. And so every political party does that, but from the background. But for a party to come out openly and announce what they want to do, for me, I think the members should have a choice of their own. But I think even the person the party is thinking about might have even been the choice of the members themselves. But that should happen through campaign, internal campaign within the party. And these members are not too many. There cannot be someone in one hall and the party reads the riot act and what they want to do, and it remains there, not in an in a public meeting, but let it be an indoor thing. I believe that political parties should pursue their interests in a manner that is secured and also hidden, because the world is watching all of us. It's just like you go to an American parliament and you see the Republican government insisting on a particular person. It's not done, even though they have their choice. They have the interest where they want, but they always keep that internal. And they talk to their members, in secret, so that they will do the needful. But I think members should have their choice and do what they want, because the person they want to elect as speaker is going to be speaker for themselves and the Nigerian people.
You won't be part of the 10th Assembly. How would you rate the performance of the 9th Assembly, which you were part of? And some people have actually argued on the leadership of the current speaker. They say he didn't perform as expected. Do you also agree with this?
It depends on what parameters you are using to, rate him. But if you are looking at a parliament that actually, to an extent, you can say succeeded, because for someone to have run the parliament for 4 years and it's coming to an end, and there was no threat of impeachment, there was no threat of insubordination, it shows that he has done his best. It may not be the best of everyone, but that is his best, and he has offered to the nation. And I think he has also brought some stability in a way between the parliament and the executive arm of government. And I think I see a better, robust engagement between the two arms of government within his period. So it depends on what you are using to rate his performance. But I would say generally he has done his best and he has done well.
All right, on a final note, since you won't be returning to the 10th Assembly, what is your advice to the 10th Assembly, and what are your expectations, and what would be your advice to lawmakers who are part of the 10th Assembly?
Well, we're looking at a very robust relationship between the executive and the legislature and the judiciary. We're looking at legislators who will look at the problems of the Nigerian people and attack and confront those issues that affect the Nigerian people more directly than ever before. We're looking at an assembly that will look at some of the issues that we have. We have tried our best to amend the Constitution in several ways. Some of those amendments never get through, even right from the House itself, to talk of from the Houses of Assembly. So these are areas that they must look at. We're looking forward to a liberalized Nigeria, a Nigeria that is a true federal state where people can be more protected under that system. So we're looking at a Nigeria that, the 10th Assembly, 10 is a very serious number, as one that will actually cap it all, because this is 10. Shows that we have reached 10. It's a milestone indeed. So we're looking at an assembly that will cap it all, and that from this assembly, as we move towards the 11th assembly, we'll begin to see a Nigeria that is robustly established in terms of its laws, in terms of its regulations, so that we will have policies that do not undermine the security, the welfare of our people, because these are the primary responsibility of government. And I think this is what I think they should be looking at. My advice to them is that they should remain committed to the Nigerian state. They should be loyal to the country and do only those things that will bring about the unity and progress of this country. Once that is once they take that in, I'm sure this country will be very great.
That is all on this week's episode of the Hallowed Chambers. You can see this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel, and also watch a repeat broadcast at 7 a.m. on Sunday. Thank you for watching. I am Tijesu Adiri. See you next time.